Hi. Welcome to our second Sturdy Woman Live. I'm so excited to see so many of you here already wishing me an early happy birthday. Thank you for being here. Some of you are already introducing yourselves in the chat. Please continue to do that. Let's see who we have here so far. Watch Movies 123 is back again. Good to see you. We have Rebekah in sunny Tucson. Yes, oh, love that. We have Sue from West Michigan, Bernadine from Illinois. We have Arizona Mom from Phoenix. We got lots of people out west. Uh, Roberta from North Carolina. Nita from, oh my gosh, there's so many of you. Nita from Rochester. And Virginia. All right. Woohoo! Happy birthday. And I know I'm not the only one with a birthday. Someone posted on the YouTube their birthday is today. My birthday is not until Saturday. This is just my pre-party. But if you have a birthday coming up, let us know so that we can celebrate you too, or if you just had one. It's lovely to have a spring birthday. At least in the United States, it's spring. I don't know if we have anyone joining us from overseas, but the flowers start coming out and the sun and the warm weather. It's just perfect. And I see we have someone, I don't know how to say your screen name, Duve Angel One from Jubilee, Minnesota. It's probably still a little bit chilly in Minnesota. And keep introducing yourselves. Alicia from Florida, Angie from Indiana. So glad all of you are here. Please engage with each other. Use this as an opportunity to interact not only with me, but with each other and share what's going on with you and what works for you. I'll talk a little bit about keto today and kind of what my keto journey has been and how it's helped me manage my lipedema symptoms. But keto might not be the best option for you. Maybe you found something else that helps you manage your symptoms. And I saw you all introduced yourselves, but go ahead and start dropping for me. What is a big success that you've had either over the course of your whole lipedema journey or just this past week? It could be as simple as I got all my clothes washed, or I went for a walk every day. Let me know something that you have accomplished that you want to celebrate with our community today. What's a success that you've had? And let me think, what is a success that I can share? This ties into what we're talking about today. I have felt a little bit off track with some of my self care. I've gotten a little bit loose with some of my eating. I've been really stressed, and stress is like a really trigger for me to eat poorly. But I'm back on my fasting routine and feeling really good, and feeling really good that kind of I am back on track where I know I feel the best. And I'll talk a little bit about fasting today and how fasting is part of my keto journey, but doesn't have to be part of yours. Oh my gosh, congratulations, Alicia. I see Alicia sharing that she lost 80 pounds and that 95% of her pain, I assume that means your pain is down. Yeah, keto, ketovore, and carnivore. So there are different ranges of keto, as Alicia is indicating there. And I'll talk to you about the one that I'm doing. But thank you so much for noting those non-scale victories, Alicia. I talk about weight on the channel in part because it's what helps bring people in. People are so interested in weight loss, but I would say what's really changed my life are the other things that keto has given me beyond losing weight. Losing weight has just kind of been an unexpected bonus, but really so many non-scale victories that can be life changing. Oh, that's wonderful, Angie. Angie is sharing um, that her outlook has changed. That's wonderful. And your outlook makes such a difference in everything. Your thoughts really shape your world. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing those. Feel free to keep sharing in the chat, engaging with each other. I am going to just pull up, and I shared this last time, but I just want to kind of reflect again on why the channel is called Sturdy Woman, and what sturdy means to me. It's kind of my way of reappropriating or reclaiming the word sturdy, which I think is often used as kind of a negative, especially with women. And kind of in it's kind of, if you call someone sturdy, it's not necessarily a compliment, but sturdy has a lot of meanings that have nothing to do with weight or body size, right? So for me, sturdy means firmly built or constituted, marked by physical strength or vigor, showing confidence and determination. I think of sturdy as like someone or something that doesn't get knocked down, right? Like life comes, challenges come, and you somehow have the strength to keep going. And I think we all at the beginning of our lipedema journey maybe felt a little knocked down, felt like, wow, things are like, what is this thing? This is scary, this is hard. But you're all here, and we're all forging forward together, just despite what they've told us. I'm sure many of you, like me, were told there's nothing you can do. All you can do is try not to get worse, right? And there's so much more hope than that. I think they've really done a disservice to us by um, making us feel discouraged, right? If they tell you there's nothing you can do, it really discourages you from trying at all. Let me see what's in the chat here. I see Rebecca is putting in the chat that she's using the leg pump every day and her legs are still getting larger. So, Rebecca, my question to you would be, what other self-care things are you doing? I can say the leg pump was the first thing I started with too. I was fortunate. I was diagnosed by a doctor, and the first thing she did was give me a pump. I have a Flexi Touch pump, and I do have a video about that if you look on the channel. And I used it for 6 months before I started keto, and I noticed some. I think my swelling probably went down because I always had to run to the bathroom after using the pump, so I know it was draining fluid. But I did not start to notice any significant improvements until I started doing keto. So I used that pump for a good 6 months, and I was in compression. I had not yet discovered my favorite compression, the CZ Salis. So I was wearing like knee high compression that wasn't, I mean, it was helping like my feet, but I have a lot of lipedema in my thighs and my hips, and it of course wasn't helping there, right? So my suggestion, Rebecca, would be keep doing the pump. Don't give up on the pump, but think about what other things you can add to your routine that can give some additional support. And if anyone else has suggestions for Rebecca, the other Rebecca, feel free to drop those in the chat for her. I will also, there are some resources I'm going to share with you during the chat today. I'm going to go ahead and put, and let me know, this is kind of a new thing I'm experimenting with, making what I'm calling these resource guides. And I hope they're helpful, kind of to round up links and resources, but let me know if you have feedback. I'm trying to put it in the chat for you, and suddenly, okay, there it goes. Okay, so there is a resource guide. I just put a link in the chat. We'll go through some of that today, but go ahead and open it if you want, if you feel so inclined. And you'll see some of the things that hopefully I'm going to cover today. I'll try to get to as much of it. Simone has a question in here. She says it's a silly question, but it's actually a very common question. She says, how do you go to the bathroom with higher panty things on? Do you drink less to prevent going? I assume what you mean, Simone, is like the compression. My compression comes up almost to my chest. Is that kind of what you're getting at? Like, yeah, you have to pull it all the way down. I used to joke that I was getting a upper body workout every time I had to go to the bathroom. There is something if you want to prevent it from rolling all the way down. I learned a trick from my fellow lipedema sister Joanna to use some fabric adhesive, kind of like what models would wear to keep their clothes from uh, flying open when they're on the runway. There are some that they make specifically for compression garments. And I have that linked on some of my other videos. I believe Jobst, Jobst, has a good one. And you can put a strip of that on your thighs after you get your compression kind of up, and that can help prevent them from rolling all the way down. But you do want to stay hydrated. If you get dehydrated, your lymph is going to get thicker. Things are going to move slower. So don't reduce your water just because you're afraid of going to the bathroom. You want to go to the bathroom because that's helping um, get your lymph and all the yuck out of your system. Angie, yes, keto can be hard to understand. They make it seem so complicated. I'll talk a little bit today about what I do. And I think the important thing to remember is start with what you can do, and not what you think is the most perfect, right? Start moving in the direction and be graceful with yourself, right? Not every day is going to be perfect, especially at the beginning. I'm almost 5 years in, and certainly I don't have a perfect day every single day. But just continue to make progress and continue to get closer. We'll get there. I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey today, and let me actually start going there. So, today's focus is on keto, but I'm happy to chat about anything that's helpful to you. So, please continue to put in whatever questions you have, keto related or otherwise. But what I'll share, kind of in a structured way, is about keto. So, my keto journey, I am almost 5 years in, 4.5 years. I started in October 2020. So in the fall, I will hit 5 years on keto. During that time, I have lost about half my body weight. I do fluctuate. I think we all do. It's so easy for me to gain weight, not quite as easy for me to lose it, even though it can come off pretty quick if I have a lot of swelling and fluid. But I've lost a significant amount of my body weight that I never thought would be possible, right? They tell us it's diet resistant fat. There's nothing you can do, and that simply has not been my experience. So keto has really been transformative. And we were talking about non-scale victories a few minutes ago. It's so much more than losing the weight. My brain fog is gone. I had no idea I had brain fog until it went away. I thought it was normal to have to carry around a notebook and write everything down all day so that you didn't forget it. I thought it was normal to need to take a nap all the time, and to, I don't know. When my brain fog went away, I thought, oh my God, I think I'm smarter. I should go back to grad school. I should, go retake all those tests I used to struggle with. And then my energy. I never realized how often I said I'm tired or I'm too tired until I stopped. Um, and I remember the day I turned to my partner and I was like, do you remember the last time I said I'm tired? Like, he and I used to fight because I would always be too tired to do things. And suddenly, neither of us could remember the last time I said I was too tired to do something. And that was massive, in realizing I had energy to want to be in the world and live again. My blood pressure has come down pretty dramatically. I took high blood pressure medicine for a while, and honestly, it never really helped. It never really worked. My blood pressure is great now. It is way below the threshold. My swelling has dramatically improved. Like many of you, I had someone email me recently and say, I don't think I'm swollen. And I said, well, I didn't think I was swollen either. Um, I was really swollen and only realized it when the swelling started to go away. I hadn't seen bones in my feet in years. I was getting up to go to the bathroom constantly all night, and the doctors were trying to tell me I was probably diabetic, even though my blood sugars were fine. And really, it was the swelling, which was kind of working its way out of my body every night when I laid down. So, swelling has been a huge one for me. Pain has improved. We often talk about pain with lipedema, right? I would have said I didn't have pain, and it was only when it went away that I realized how kind of achy I felt all the time. And then with lipedema, sometimes we talk about easy bruising, and my certainly I still bruise, but it's not as much as it was when my symptoms were really at their peak. When I was really swollen, when I was really inflamed, it's really improved a lot. And honestly, I credit keto with a lot of it. Like I was saying earlier in response to someone's question, I used my Flexi Touch pump. I was in compression. I was walking. I was doing a lot of the things. It was really when I switched to keto that it was like I switched to another gear, and like suddenly, I wasn't just preventing things from getting worse. I like was actually getting better and feeling better pretty rapidly. All right. The chat is like going wild. Let me see if I can catch up with you a little bit. Um, Tracy's asking about supplements. Yes, Tracy, we talked about supplements in the last live, and I have a couple videos where I talk about supplements. There is a resource at the bottom of the resource guide that I shared, called Medical Tests for Lipedema, by Megan Pfeffer. It's an ebook that you can get on Amazon, and she talks about different supplements that you may think about taking if you are a lipedema patient. I take some very specific ones that my nutritionist helped me pick out based on my blood tests and kind of what I was low in. My basic supplement routine is I take a women's probiotic every day. I have a B vitamin supplement that I take. It's a special kind of B vitamins because I found out I have a genetic mutation that impacts my absorption of certain kinds of gene mutations. And you can also read more about that in that medical test book. It's called the MTHFR mutation. I take uh, fish oil. I take fish oil every day, and I take magnesium at night. It is good for stress and muscle aches and helps kind of relax you and put you to sleep. There is, I will put it, I will put a link in the resource guide. It's not there right now, but I'll drop it there for you, Tracy, later. I have a link where I have all my supplements I take right now, if you want to see those. But remember, they might not be the same ones you need because we're all different. So work with a doctor, read that book about medical tests, and kind of see what might be right for you. The other supplement that I'll talk a little bit more about later is I am a big fan of collagen powder. I've been taking collagen really since the beginning of my lipedema journey, and it's supported me continuing with keto. And also, I think it's helped my skin. It's hard to sell, right? Because I don't know what it would look like without it. But I'll talk a little bit more about collagen and how it's helped me. Um, so, a little bit about what I do with keto and how I do it. Someone kind of alluded to earlier, there are it's a gradient. There are different levels of strictness. I am pretty much strict keto. So I do less than 20 total grams of carbs a day. Some people do net carbs where you like subtract some things out and say they don't count. I don't do that. I do 20 grams total carbs. And I think, especially when you're starting, it's helpful to track. I know I have an old video where I say, oh, like I don't track, I don't like that. I've had a change of heart over the past year when I was working with my nutritionist. She really said, I can't tell you what to eat if I don't know what you're eating. And so she convinced me to start using Chronometer, which is a free app. I'll put the name of that in. Why I like you can use any app for tracking, but I like Chronometer because it's specifically you can set the macros to say I'm doing keto. I want to do keto, and it's very popular within the keto community. It will adjust. Yeah, Simone, you just started using it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I find it really easy to use. They have a great database. You can just scan the barcodes and most things come up. But track at least at the beginning because those carbs add up so much faster than you would ever imagine. So less than 20 total grams carbs. I don't do artificial sweeteners, but I will say I did at the beginning. So if you're new to keto, like I said, ease into it. Don't, make yourself go all out super hard at the beginning, or you're going to hate it and you're not going to make it, right? Um, Take it a step at a time. It took me a good 6 months to get to know artificial sweeteners. At the beginning, I loved to drink like a diet root beer, diet sodas, things like that were a crutch for me at the beginning, right? They helped me get get into it, get started. Once your body adjusts to keto, it gets easier. So currently, I do no artificial sweeteners. I do stevia. I manage food sensitivities. So I have a couple videos. If you watch my keto playlist, you'll find it about food sensitivities. I've done a couple tests and seen that I am sensitive to dairy and eggs, even though I stopped eating eggs for about 3 years and I recently started experimenting with them again on the advice of my nutritionist and haven't noticed any bad symptoms. But dairy definitely gives me swelling. A couple years ago, I did a no dairy challenge for a month and I lost no weight on the scale and I lost an entire dress size. I had to go buy new pants, but I didn't lose any weight. That's how much it was making me swell. So I do not do dairy unless it's a special treat or I'm traveling, and that's my best option. So food sensitivity. So dairy, like cow milk and eggs, have been triggers for me, but they may not be for you, and you may have other things that are nightshades. So like peppers and eggplants and tomatoes can be a trigger for some people, and it is for me. I've had to cut those out, but things like that. Finding out what gives you inflammation can be super helpful. Um, Intermittent fasting, I started this about a year into my keto. You want to let your body kind of adjust and get used to keto before you start fasting. But I do fast now. Right now, I'm doing an alternate day fasting protocol. So I'll eat one day, take the next day off. There are a lot of different ways to do it. I like alternate day fasting just because it's easiest for my routine and what I like. But there are many, many ways you can do it. Blood testing is really helpful. In the resource guide, I have linked the Keto Mojo meter that I use. You just prick your finger like you see diabetics do, and it will give you your blood sugar and your ketone level, and that will teach you so much about how food influences you. Different foods influence you, and how to understand what your body's feeling, right? Like I can now, after testing for so many years, I can say, oh, I feel really tired and crummy. I think my blood sugar might be high. Let me go for a walk. Um, so I do think testing is really helpful. It'll let you know, are you actually in ketosis? Because if you're not in ketosis, then you need to look at some of the things in your diet and see, what's causing problems for you. And then the other thing is just keep going. We have a question that someone asked that I will talk about later in our live. But sometimes things happen and you get knocked out of ketosis, and you got to find how to just keep going. um, Pick yourself back up. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Um, Let me see what's in the chat here. Angie's talking about goat cheese. Angie, yes, I am. When I do cheese now, I do goat cheese, and I found goat butter. And I tend to tolerate that much better than cow cheese or cow butter. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's so delicious. It's worth it if you can afford it, because it's the cow milk that really gets most people. Sometimes goat is easier. Okay, I'm just checking the chat to see. You are talking to each other a lot. Okay, if you've asked a question and I've missed it, please just re-chat it. I'm not ignoring you. There's just so much here that I think I've lost it. Okay, so that is my like quick and dirty keto. What I do, how it's helped me. Um, I want to take a minute just to kind of show you what keto has done for me. And I tested this, I hope it will work. So here is my keto journey. All right. Well, that was my journey. And I hope that you also really saw it wasn't fast. Those pictures were taken over the course of 2 years, right? And I should take some more recent pictures because my weight has fluctuated, but I see someone asking, do I work out? I do exercise, and I have started recently doing a lot of strength training, which has really changed my body in ways I'm really excited about. But I often have people write to me and say, I've been doing keto for a month. I haven't lost any weight. It's not working. When I started, I didn't even own a scale. I was on a body positivity journey. I hadn't weighed myself. Even when I went to the doctor, I got on the scale and I turned around backwards and I said, I don't need to know the number. I'm not into that. You can write it down if you want, but I don't care. Um, and I didn't weigh myself. All I did was take pictures. And you can measure yourself. There's a great app called Me 360 that you can use your phone to take your body measurements if you don't want to use a measuring tape. And measuring tape, it's really hard to get in the same spot every time. But it's going to take time for your body to heal, for your inflammation to go down, for your body to be okay losing weight. You don't focus on the scale. Focus on those non-scale victories, especially at the beginning. Focus on just getting in ketosis and staying there and trusting the process. I remember at the beginning being, well, so what is the next thing I have here for you? Um, I remember at the beginning of my journey being terrified to do keto. I'll talk in a few minutes about my extreme love of sweets. To this day, I love sweets. I love sweets. I love sugar. And it just didn't seem possible to me that I would stop eating, that I would stop eating that. Like, why would you want to be alive and not have bagels and birthday cake? And why would you do that? Um, and I had struggled with disordered eating earlier on. I think many of us are, serial dieters and have tried everything in the past to lose weight, right? And I was really afraid of kind of doing that again. But I said, I'm going to try it for 1 month. Sugar will always be there. Carbs will always be there, right? They're not going to go away. And I said, I'm going to try it for 1 month. And if I don't like it after 1 month, I'll stop doing it. And I never stopped because I felt the difference in my body. And I think, if that's helpful for you, try to adopt a similar mindset. Say, I'm just going to experiment with this. I'm just going to try and see what happens. And if I don't like it, I can stop. If it doesn't work, I can stop. But you don't know if you don't try. Simone, I see it. Yes, it takes a couple weeks. So Simone says it took her over 2 weeks to feel a difference. Yeah, for sure. And I don't recommend weighing at the beginning because especially if you go into it saying, I'm really focused on losing weight, you're just setting yourself up for, I don't know. I think it's more discouraging to be trying to lose weight and not losing weight. I didn't think it was going to be possible for me to lose weight. I just wanted to feel better. And I hoped that it would help me feel better. And it really, really did. I see someone posted, let me scroll back up here. So Jagwagger J, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your screen name, says keto is not an option for me. And I do get that question a lot. People will write and say, I can't do it for whatever reason. What I would encourage you to do is still try to figure out what may be giving you inflammation. So, keto tends to work really well for a lot of people because what it does is just knock out a lot of stuff that commonly gives people inflammation. So if you don't want to do keto, still try to find out what your body might be sensitive to food wise. There's a diet that there's not a ton of information about that Dr. Herbst has recommended in the past. It's called the RAD diet, the Rare Adipose Tissue Disorder Diet. And it's a similar anti-inflammatory diet. Really, what you want to focus on, even if you're not doing keto, is seeing what you can do to reduce the inflammation in your body. I went to the Fat Disorders Resource Society conference a few years ago, and one of my main takeaways, I just wrote it down like in all caps in my notebook. Dr. Herbst, who's one of the top lipedema researchers in the US, was presenting, and she said fat loves a fluid rich environment, and inflammation creates fluid in the body. So if you can reduce your inflammation through a variety of means, you can control that swelling, control that fluid, that extra fluid that's around your tissue, and hopefully, help control the expansion of our lipedema cells, right? So even if keto is not an option for you, still try to figure out what may be giving you inflammation, because it can be so many things. There can even be things in beauty products that you use, creams and lotions that can be absorbed in your body. So go down, go down, go down that rabbit hole of looking at inflammation in your body. Um, and I see Simone says, yes, I'm just diagnosed and I'm doing an online course. Okay, maybe she can share more about that. I see others are asking. Patsy is 1 year in and she's thriving. Patsy, you got this. Keep going. It's worth it. Um, yes, it is. I agree, Patsy. It is so exciting to see how much progress we can make, even if it's just feeling better. I think that's the biggest disservice the medical community does for us is they tell so many of us there's nothing we can do, and then that just makes us feel defeated. And I think there's so much that we can do, and that we can do on our own. You don't have to have a doctor to do some of this stuff. Certainly, do involve a doctor in your medical choices, but there's so much that you can try and do on your own. Yeah, Deanna says she's a big fan of the RAD diet. There are other things and other ways that people find success. So if you have questions about the RAD diet, maybe Deanna will help answer some of those in the chat. Um, So I just want to say this because I think I love quotes. Those of you who joined last time will see that I have quotes posted up all over my house. But I really love this one from Rumi, which says, life is a balance between holding on and letting go. And I was thinking this morning that that really embodies kind of where my frame of mind was when I was thinking about going on keto. Is kind of, do I hold on to this old life that I've had that potentially has been making me sick, even though it's everything I know? Or do I let go and see if something totally new might open up and happen? And I think deciding to do something like keto, it's a courageous decision to make. It's a huge lifestyle change, and sometimes we're not supported by those around us, right? That can be really challenging. But it's a balance between holding on to what you know and what's comfortable and letting go. And in my experience in my life, it's those moments where you have the courage to kind of let go and kind of drop into the darkness where the magic really happens. I remember when I was first starting keto and I had kind of learned about lipedema, I was sharing with an old friend that I was going to do keto and see what happened. And she said something really that has stuck with me to this day. We'd been friends for almost 18 years, and she said, "Well, I don't know if I support you being keto, but I will still be your friend." And I was like, "You'll still be my friend?" Like, I'm gonna stop eating sugar, and you think that might be a reason for us to not be friends anymore? Interestingly, we are no longer friends after 18 years. I can't say keto was entirely the reason, but um, yeah, it may influence dynamics in some of your relationships, and I get it. It's a hard decision to make, and those around us are not always supportive. Angie, I see you're saying your mother's love language is baked treats. I think that's true of a lot of people. Food is a love language for some people, and especially sweets. And I think that's one of the big challenges. I used to love baking, and sometimes I do still bake like cookies and give them to people, which is wild, right? I don't eat them, I don't lick the spoon. But sometimes it's yeah, I don't know. There's something about food, and I guess the challenge, Angie, is how do you get your mom to realize that a big steak can also be a love language, right? Like how can you kind of shift that into something that works with where you are right now? And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I have celebrated since being keto. The first time I had a keto birthday, I was really, I don't know. I've been on keto for a little over 6 months, and I thought, am I really going to not eat cake on my birthday? Is that really possible? And I, here I am. I've found some of my old pictures for you. Here I am at the top picture right above where I am right now, where I'm in the gray sweatshirt. That's my 2-year birthday. There I am with my birthday cake, and then I'm wearing my in the middle. That's my gift I got from my grandma, my little pink raincoat and matching purse, which came in a giant box that my brother and I to this day still say, "Do you remember when grandma sent that giant box?" I don't know if it was actually that giant, but I was 2 years old and it was so impressive. Um, and then on the far right, you can see my dog birthday cake. And Angie, my mother's love language is also sweets, and she would bake us these fancy cakes for our birthday every year. We could request what shape we wanted. So this year, apparently, I requested a dog. And so she made me this dog birthday cake for my 5th birthday. She would make trains. She made me a duck. She made me a Superman one year. I was really obsessed with Superman. Um, and these elaborate cakes were always a big part of birthdays at my house. And, being on keto, I was like, how am I going to have a birthday without sweets? Um, and then, so growing up, my childhood, cake and sweets and food were what birthdays were about. You got to choose what was for dinner. You got to have this fancy cake. Um, Things changed a little bit when some of you may know, I don't talk about this a lot, but I lived in West Africa for a long time. I lived in Liberia. Many people don't know where that is, so I put the map there for you. It's a small country of about 5 million people in West Africa. And I was living there when I turned 30, and I threw myself my first ever birthday party. So these are pictures from my birthday party that I threw there with some of my students and my friends. The woman in the top picture in the yellow dress there with me, she was my sewing teacher. Um, and to, to this day, I use some of the tricks that she taught me to alter my clothes because of my big lipedema arms and legs. So that's Mistress Yeke there, my sewing teacher. But yeah, so I threw this big birthday party for myself. And in Liberia, when it's your birthday, you have to treat everyone. It's not like in the United States where people take you out for your birthday. If it's your birthday in Liberia, people come to celebrate with you, and you have to buy all the drinks and all the food. So I had to be very careful. We had a secret birthday party, so not too many people would come, and I couldn't afford it. But it was about friendship. And I did try to bake myself a cake. Cake was still a big part of my birthday kind of expectation. And so there was nothing like powdered sugar to make icing. I had a mortar and pestle. So people told me, like, just try like pounding the sugar in the mortar and pestle, and it'll work. And I stood in my kitchen for probably an hour trying to make powdered sugar out of sugar unsuccessfully. But I made something that I called a birthday cake, and I took it to the party, and my Liberian friends wouldn't even eat it. They said it was too sweet. Um, but yeah, even without the proper resources, I tried to make a cake. So what I've done since being on keto is try to focus more on experiences. Last year, for my 40th birthday, I took a trip to Florida. I'm in a much different position this year, so I'm not taking a trip. But that was something I decided I wanted to do as a gift for myself. So rather than food and cake and things like that, I went to the beach because I love the beach and I don't live near the beach. And I went parasailing, which I'd never done before. And I rode a jet ski, which I'd never done before. And things that I thought would never be part of my life. And it was amazing, and it was a celebration, and it was friendship and all of those things. So I really, on keto, have shifted increasingly towards experiences. What are things that are going to feel special to me that I can share with other people, where I can make memories without having that food? And being really explicit with people about what works for me and what I want to do, so that people know I don't eat cake, right? So they're not going to bring me cupcakes and things like that. Being willing to talk to people. Um, all right, let me catch up with what's here in the chat. So, those are some of the things that I've done to celebrate without food. To what have you done? What works for you? Those of you who do keto or have food restrictions, what are some of the things that you do when you want to celebrate and have a special day? But maybe, going out to eat. I don't go out to eat anymore for a special event because I can make better, cheaper food for myself at home, right? If I go out to a restaurant, I'm gonna probably throw away half the food because I can't eat it. What are some of the things that you do to celebrate without food? Okay. Cheryl, welcome from Mexico. I'm so glad you were able to join us. And you aren't in the right spot. Just keep taking keto one day at a time. It is a process. You're not going to get it perfect the first day, the first week, but you will get there eventually. Elise says she makes a steak and puts a candle on it. Yeah, love that. Maybe I'll do that. I love a good steak. Okay. I see a lot of back and forth in the chat. If I've missed something that you have put in as a question, please don't be shy to repost it. It's hard to catch the questions between the chats. Arizona Mom is saying that keto changed her so much, but the food sensitivity panel really opened her eyes for sure. That was my experience too. It was a game changer. If you it, I already showed my pictures, but in my pictures, you can see there's a few month period where my body changed really dramatically. And part of that was taking out some of those food sensitivities. Keto took me a long way, but to kind of really tighten the screws is kind of the term I like to use. Food sensitivities made a big difference. And so, even if you don't do keto, I think finding out food sensitivities and kind of removing things from your diet can be super helpful. Um, Cheryl lost 100 pounds on very low keto 2 years ago. I know. Yeah, sugar addiction. I feel you there, Cheryl. If I have even just a little sugar, it's over. But big congrats, Cheryl, on your success. It's a process. It's not one and done. My weight has fluctuated up and down a little bit. Um, I think definitely stress and sleep and life have a big impact on things. And yes, I've had the same experience, Cheryl, where just having a little bit of sugar, um, man, it just like reignites this beast within. It's really hard to just have one one cookie or one sweet, and then not have another one the next day. Angie, oh, I would love to have some grilled salmon with you. That sounds amazing. I live in an apartment and I don't have a grill, and I desperately wish that I did. It would make all of this so much more delicious and fun. But I do what I can with my broiler. Um, okay, let's continue. Um, I want to highlight really quickly before I get into one of my questions. I have some exciting things coming up for you over the next couple weeks. I know we just talked a whole bunch about sweets and food, but I am going to be experimenting with keto ice cream. I got an ice cream maker a while back that I have not done much with. And there are ways to make keto ice cream with some of those things like the collagen powder that I talked about earlier. So if you have keto recipes for ice cream, send them to me. But I'm going to be experimenting with those, so look for that over the next couple weeks. And then next weekend, I am having a special birthday sale for you with Perfect Keto, and that's going to be May 3rd through 5th. Watch the channel for details about that. You'll be able to use my code Sturdy Woman to get buy one 50% off all collagen and MCT oil powder. And then I just got a rebounder. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet, but I am going to get it set up this week and I will have a review coming for you about that. I've never had a rebounder, so I am really excited to try that out. If you have experience or you have questions that you want to make sure I answer, please let me know. And then here is the information about the sale next weekend. It is going to be just for us. So you'll have to use my promo code to access it. And it's going to be collagen powder and MCT oil powder. I love MCT oil powder because it helps me get my fats up on keto. So look for more information about that. I'll remind you later on this week. So let me check the chat again before I get into this question. Carla, thank you. You can do it. Just It just do it. That's all I can say. That's my what I call my Nike motto. Just do it. Um, I was just chatting with someone this morning. Starting anything is the hardest part, and making that decision to start is the hardest part. It's like exercise, right? Getting out the door is the most challenging part. Getting out the door, getting to the gym that first day, getting on that first walk, that's the hard part. And then once you've done the first day, it gets easier and it gets easier and it gets easier. Um, Ooh, okay. I see that you can also do salmon in an air fryer. I don't have an air fryer, um, but that's a good tip. Maybe I do need an air fryer. Okay. I received this question in advance from Emma in the Midwest here in the US. She said, what are some of your favorite keto snacks and how do you manage getting kicked out of ketosis? She actually said a lot more than that. That was my that was my abbreviated version. Let me pull up what she actually said because there was a lot more there that I think is worth sharing with you all. One second. Okay, she says, I'm moving from low carb to keto, but having to travel and be at other people's houses. I'm always trying to make the best out of worst choices. I know you've done videos before on some of the snacks that you bring on trips. Yes, I do have those. If there's any new ones that you found, can you mention them? I'm trying to find something I can eat before we sit down to eat so I don't make horrible choices. Like Scarlett and Gone with the Wind eating before the dinner party. I'm so sick and tired of getting bumped out of ketosis, then working back when I get home. I saw you mention this after getting back from a trip to Asia last year. Do you have tips on how to make this roller coaster easier? So let me address the first part of the question first, which are some of my favorite snacks. And those of you who are doing keto, please use the chat to share with Emma some of your favorite snacks, especially if they're different from mine. I am surprised. Years ago, I would have been surprised to hear myself say this. I'm a huge fan of pork rinds, Emma. um, Growing up, thought they were disgusting because my mother told me they were disgusting. But they're just like potato chips, except they're full of fat and protein, which is what we want on keto. So I'm a huge fan of pork rinds. And even when I went on a trip last summer overseas, put like 5 bags of pork rinds in my suitcase. And was also surprised to see that I could buy them there too. So pork rinds are a huge favorite snack for me. I also, when I'm traveling, will take some bars from Perfect Keto, the same brand that I buy my collagen powder from. They have some collagen bars. They do have a little bit more carb than I would normally have on an average day, but when you're traveling and you don't have easy access to stuff, it's a really good way to kind of have something that is not full of sugar, right? Like it has stevia, it has good fats in it. And it might be a little bit higher in carb, but it's not going to hit you the same as like a chocolate bar. But it's still really tasty. So perfect keto collagen bars are something that I really love to travel with. I, if you watched my video, I think I maybe even also said this in my video. I've been known to cook an entire packet of bacon and carry it on the airplane with me. I mean, you do have to eat it, pretty quickly. You don't want to carry it around for a week. But that's something that I've done. I sometimes will take lunch meat on the airplane with me. You do have to be careful with lunch meat. Some of it is full of fillers, and sometimes they put sugar and other things in it. But that's a tip. And I've seen other people doing that on airplanes too, eating lunch meat. Um, Yogurt. If you do dairy, Greek yogurt is a really good option. There is, I think I know how to say this, Faye. Greek yogurt. There is a version that is high fat, low carb. I don't eat that anymore. I used to eat it, but now that I don't do dairy, I do Pillars, Pillars, coconut yogurt. You can also make your own coconut yogurt. I have a video showing how to do that on my website. But those are kind of some of my favorite snacks are kind of like yogurt, pork rinds, bars, bacon. Um, and I think the more you get into keto, the less you need snacks because you realize. I remember the first time this happened to me, I couldn't believe it. Like sometimes you just miss meals because you don't get hungry as often, the same way you do when you're eating carbs. So don't be surprised if as you go along, you find yourself having fewer and fewer snack cravings. I think the last one that I'll throw in, I'm remembering now, I used to take this to the office, olives. I'll take some Kalamata olives. They're great for keto because they're low carb, high fat. So they're going to be pretty satiating. So find some good olives, and that can be a really nice snack too. And of course, cheese. We were talking about cheese earlier. Goat cheese, if you don't do cow milk, can be an option as well. Arizona Mom, yes, I agree. I love the Keto Mojo meter. I have had mine for a very long time and it is still going strong. And it makes a huge difference. It helps you see how different foods are affecting you, how you feel when your ketones are high versus when they're low, how different blood sugars make you feel. And it's just really helpful. It really helped me kind of learn more about how my body works. Like to make things is asking, do I follow a specific ratio of fat to protein? How about calories? Do you have a maximum? So I track now. I did not early on. I use Chronometer and I have mine. It's an app, it's a free app you can download on your phone and you can configure it. You can tell it that you are doing keto, and it will automatically put in the percentage that's often used for keto. So it's high fat, moderate protein, super low carb. Um, and I have to admit, I'm really good at eating protein. It's really easy for me to overeat on my protein. I have to really work some days to get in my fat. But especially at the beginning, like to make things, I think that's a really easy way to learn about the macros, the fat, protein, carb ratio on keto is to use that Chronometer app. And you can get in trouble if you're eating too much protein, right? I used to just eat a ton of protein and not pay attention to my fat. But you really do need to get that high fat to get the best kind of outcome on your keto. Having too much protein can kind of give you a slowdown. Simone says she has reached the point that she's not snacking. Yep, definitely. It takes time to get there, but you get there. Berries, yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Simone, especially blueberries. Blueberries are fairly low carb compared to other berries, so they can be a really good option with a little bit of cream or, like Simone suggests, whipped cream. Yeah, love that. Okay, and then watch movies one, two, three is asking if someone in the chat can share more about the RAD diet or send a link. And I've seen that there's a lot of back and forth about that. So if someone can share that with Watch Movies One, Two, Three, that would be great. Cheryl says air fryers are a game changer. Okay, okay. Um, Cheryl, we're going to start our rebounding journey together, and I'll look into air fryers. Um, okay, Simone is asking about salt. This is a really hot topic, Simone, and I'm glad that you brought it up. There is a great book um, that will open your mind about salt, and I don't have it in the resource guide yet, but let me pull it up so I can give you all a link. Um, Salt has a really bad reputation, especially in the United States, and eating more rather than less salt um, has really made a difference for me. In the United States, we are so often told that if you have salt, it's going to give you high blood pressure. It's going to give you, um, there's things that they tell us about swelling. If you're doing keto, salt is super, super important for you. If you're not getting at least 2 teaspoons of salt a day, you're going to feel terrible and you're going to want to stop. Doing keto changes your electrolyte balances. And it's really, really important that you get enough salt. I, at one point, was getting lightheaded. I was bending over to take stuff out of the oven and I was like almost passing out. And I went to my doctor and I said, I don't think I need my blood pressure medicine anymore. I'm going to pass out. And he said, no, you absolutely cannot stop. Um, I started eating more salt and my problem went away immediately. It had become summer and it was hot and I was sweating a lot and I was sweating out all my salt. Um, I'm pulling up this book for you right now. But salt is super important on keto. Um, if you're not doing keto, it's a little bit different. But this book that I'm about to share with you talks a lot about where our salt guidelines in the United States came from and why they might not be what we think they are. And it is called The Salt Fix. It's a quick read, but really interesting. Okay, it's called The Salt Fix, and I just chatted it to you. Yes, definitely. Simone is saying there are different kinds of salt. I use Redmond Real salt. It has a little bit, it's a very natural salt that has naturally occurring minerals in it, which can be really beneficial for your body. Yeah, Angie, I recommend, I see you asking about processed foods and sugar. I recommend checking out that book I just put in the chat, The Salt Fix. Um, Yeah, Rebecca, the other Rebecca, she says sometimes when I go to bend forward, I keep going forward. Yeah, that's what was happening to me when I wasn't having enough salt. And I do drink electrolyte powder now. I use something called LMNT. I have several of them every day, including in my coffee. I know that sounds really weird, salty coffee, but like salted chocolate. I put chocolate collagen in it. And then I put some of my electrolyte powder, and it's really delicious. I'll pull a link for of that for you, but you can either add extra salt to your diet just by salting your food more, or just, this is gonna sound really weird, but I do it when I'm fasting, just eating salt crystals. Um, here we go. Electrolytes, super, super important, especially in the hot months when we're sweating a lot. Arizona mom says she's not really snacking anymore either. That's fantastic. That means you're like killing it on your keto. Meat sticks. I'm a huge fan of jerky. Arizona mom. Tillamook has a really good no sugar jerky. It's a little bit expensive, but I usually take it when I'm traveling. Electrolyte powder, definitely. Yeah, airports are just a disaster for for every human. I was going to say for us, but I think for every human, there's just not a lot of good options there. Nuts can be something you can have in a pinch, but nuts also can give some people inflammation, and they can really add up on the carbs really, really fast. But if you're in kind of a disaster situation, nuts can be an option, especially something like macadamia nuts. I'm trying to think what other good options are. Almonds, but again, the carbs add up really quick. That's amazing, Cheryl. I see Cheryl responding to Rebekah saying that when she lost weight, the doctor could not believe how much the pockets were on both her upper arms and legs, and the cuffing had almost gone away. That's really, really amazing. And I do always travel with my collagen powder. I will bring, um, they don't really like powders in little plastic bags. The security people don't really like that. But if you can, I'll check like my whole container of collagen in my check bag. I'll find a way to bring a little bit in my carry-on. And then if I buy a coffee or something in the airport, I can put my collagen powder in it and it'll have some protein and some fat and really kind of keep me going. All of these are really good tips. And I'm putting my favorite low carb electrolytes in the chat here for you. I use the chocolate caramel in my coffee in the morning, and then grapefruit is my favorite to have, like if I'm working out. But I've tried all the flavors, and they're all really solid. Um, okay. You have already moved on to this. I should have advanced sooner. But yeah, keep sharing your favorite keto snacks and recipes in the chat. One of my favorite places for keto recipes, people reach out to me a lot and ask for keto recipes. Diet Doctor, dietdoctor.com is a wonderful place to find keto recipes, and you can search by different amounts of carbs, different preferences like non-dairy. And I've tried a lot of them over the years, and some of them are really great. I will say now that I've been doing it for so long, I kind of have a routine that's really, really basic. And for dinner every night, I usually have some variation of a salad with chicken or fish on it, depending on what I have and what I feel like doing. And I eat the same sandwich for lunch every day. But those of you who really want variety, and especially at the beginning, if you're craving variety and trying to find what works for you, Diet Doctor is a really good place to get ideas and inspiration. Man, you all really love salmon. You're making me want to go eat some salmon tonight. Keto fennel mushroom accompanied by wild salmon. That sounds amazing. Thank you, Simone. Yeah, keep sharing all of that with each other and with me. So I can maybe get out of my own food rut, even though I don't think it's bad to be in a food rut. Like you figure out what you like and you figure out what works for your body, and you just rock and roll with it. Um, okay. So I did receive another question in advance, and this one said, did I go through a test to get diagnosed with lipedema? or lymphedema. And Linda, I have some resources in the resource guide, which I know some folks have come and gone since I shared it. So let me put it in the chat again for those just joining us. And Linda, I know you're probably watching the recording. This will be in the description, so you can click to that. And again, let me know if these resource guides are helpful. This is a new thing I have started trying to do for you, and I think it's helpful, but let me know if you have feedback. So there is no test for lipedema, Linda. You have to have a physical exam. There's no blood test, there's no scan, there's no anything. I think they're trying to figure out how to develop one, but we don't have one yet. The only way you can get diagnosed is to have a doctor physically examine you. There is a great video on YouTube by the Fat Disorders Resource Society, FDRS, where Dr. Herbst is showing how she does a physical exam on a real patient and talking through what she looks for, what she's feeling for. And I think that's a really helpful way to figure out if you think you have lipedema. It's also a great resource to potentially share with a doctor who you're trying to get to help you get a diagnosis. So that's in the resource guide, Linda. I highly recommend checking that out. For lymphedema, they usually do what's called a stemmer sign test, and that's STEMMER. I put that in the resource guide. I haven't linked anything yet. I was kind of rushing before starting the live, and I couldn't find something I really, really liked that I wanted to link for you, but I'll try to find something to add later on. And the stemmer sign is really just pinching the skin on your second toe. And if you're able to kind of lift it up and separate the skin, that's considered a negative sign for lymphedema. But if you can't pinch that skin, it's considered a sign of lymphedema. And I do remember when I was diagnosed, the doctor did pinch my toe, and she then did diagnose me with lymphedema. So that's usually what they do for that. You can also do things like a lymphoscintigraphy, which is a scan of your lymphatic system. I have never had one done. I don't know if anyone on here has done one, but it's a test you can do that will, I believe they inject a dye in your lymphatic system, and then they kind of watch how it moves through your body, and it can kind of let you know how your lymphatic system is doing. Again, I haven't had it done, but it is something that you can do to learn more about your lymphatic system. Something else that I have linked for you in the resource guide is a book on medical tests for lipedema. These are not medical tests that will tell you yes or no if you have lipedema, but they're medical tests that you might want to have done if you believe you have lipedema or you know you have lipedema. Different mineral deficiencies or vitamin deficiencies that are common within our community, and different symptoms you might experience if you're having that, or different supplements you might want to take if you are deficient in that. So I highly recommend checking that out. It's written by Megan Pfeffer, who is a clinical nutritionist and also a lipedema patient herself. So she is a great resource. And again, that's linked for you in the resource guide. Rebekah says she was diagnosed by a vascular doctor. Me too. Yeah. If you did not see my recent video on finding a doctor for lipedema, vascular surgeons are often a good resource for us because they're more likely to understand the lymphatic system. Simone, I'm so curious what your comment means, that your shin therapist had a device to measure fat, like something you would use to find water in walls. I'm so curious what that experience was like. Um, Watch movies, Can I send the link to that video? I'm guessing you mean the video about diagnosing um, lipedema with the physical exam. It's in the resource guide on the second page. Let me link the resource guide for you again. It's on the second page of the resource guide under tests for lipedema. Great. Linda, I hope that was helpful. Leave us a comment below if you have more questions after checking out those resources in the resource guide. Have I missed any of your questions? Let me scan through the chat. If I missed you, drop it in again. I'm still here. I'm not frozen. I'm just being really still. Okay, I don't see more questions coming in, but I'm going to give you another couple seconds to get them in if you have questions or thoughts. Carla, this is a great question. Do I recommend seeing a nutritionist to get started on keto? I think it can certainly help. It can certainly give you a head start. The challenge is you want to find someone who is knowledgeable about keto and who is also knowledgeable about lipedema. One of my favorite resources is, and let me just share this with you. Carla, a great resource, I just dropped it in the chat for you, is I Choose Health. Megan Pepper, who wrote the book on medical testing that I was talking about recently, she is a clinical nutritionist based in Australia who also has lipedema herself and uses keto to manage her symptoms and also used them to manage her breast cancer when she was diagnosed with breast cancer a few years back. There is some research speculation, of course, like with most things, there needs to be more research, but on keto potentially being beneficial for cancer patients as well. She has some great resources. You can book consults with her online. She'll do a free initial consult with you where you can get a lot of questions answered and decide if you want to kind of pay to do more. But it's a free resource I highly recommend kind of taking advantage of and seeing if that's a fit for you. She also does courses. So if that is a better fit for your budget or your time or kind of what sort of support you think you need, check out the courses that she offers. She does them on keto. Last year, she also had a course on menopause for women kind of entering menopause, which I think many of us know can be a time of challenge with lipedema symptoms. Anytime you have those hormonal changes, it can be difficult, right? So check out I Choose Health, Carla. It might be a really great resource for getting started with keto. Arizona Mom, GLP-1s. Yeah, I don't actually know a lot about them, but FDRS, not FDRS, the Lipedema Foundation is conducting research on GLP-1s and lipedema patients. Many of you maybe saw the survey I circulated recently. They were trying to collect experiences from lipedema patients who had either used them or not used them or were using them right now. Um, and I think there's just a lot we don't know yet. But those of you who are interested in GLP-1s, I would encourage you to get on Instagram. There are a lot of lipedema folks on Instagram sharing their experience using GLP-1s. And I think it's kind of a mixed bag. I think some people are having better experiences than others. And I think that's really like the challenging thing about lipedema, right, is what it's so bio individual. What works for one person may not work for another person, and it's really about learning and figuring out your own body, which is takes time. Um, so yeah, I don't know a lot about that Arizona mom, but I'm heartened to hear that researchers are working on trying to learn more. And so I think in the next few years, hopefully, we'll have more information. But that's really interesting to hear that it might help break fibrosis. And I see Simone asking if anyone has experience with L-arginine. I do not. I haven't taken it myself. There is a list of recommended supplements that Dr. Herbst put out a long time ago, recommended supplements for women with lipedema. And I shared it in the last live. Let me pull it up again, Simone, and you can look and see what she says about it. Rebekah Jones, thank you so much for being here. I'm happy to see you here too. Simone, I'm pulling that link up for you right now. And have a look at that and see if it is on there and what she says it might help with. All right. Any other questions? Okay. I want to take us to this quote, which for me, I think really sums up my experience with lipedema in general, and my self-care routine and kind of the protocol that I've developed for myself is nothing will work unless you do, um, from Maya Angelou. And uh, for me, that's just been so true. No one can do your self-care for you. It has to be you. Keto won't work for you if you don't do it. Exercise won't work for you if you don't do it, right? It's about the consistency. You don't have to be perfect. I definitely have a perfectionist streak, and feel badly about myself if I miss a day or something like that. But it's not about being perfect. It's okay to have that bad day. Try not to have a lot of them, but it's okay to have that bad day. It's the consistency that's going to add up, that's going to give you a routine, that's going to give you those gains over time. So stick with it, be brave, be sturdy. I'm just checking the chat. I see things coming in the chat again. Betsy, thank you so much for your kind words and your question. Do I have any tips for viewing maintenance as progress? 100%. I mean, I think may not, I would go back to what my doctor who diagnosed me originally said, which is like the most we can hope for is that you will not get worse, right? I think there's so much when you first read about lipedema, it just seems like this inevitable it's going to get worse, things are going to be so bad. Um, but even just staying the same can be such a win for us because our bodies want to get worse, right? Our condition wants to worsen, and you are fighting against the current. And so, simply staying where you are when you have lipedema is a huge, huge win because your body, your everything is trying to suck you down into a worse place. And staying where you are is 100% a win. And even, those of you who have said in the chat have talked about backsliding. It's okay. It happens. It's happened to me, right? The important thing is you know how to do it. You know how to get back on your routine. You know how to get back on track. Life happens. Life gets tricky, and um, you just got to keep getting back up. I think that's the difference between people who are successful and people who aren't, right? It's not that you never fall, it's that you keep getting up and you keep trying again. And oh, good, Rebecca, I'm so glad that you are in compression and you have a bouncer. I don't know if that's a rebounder or a vibration plate, but if it's a rebounder, Rebecca, I just got a rebounder too. And I will be sharing my experience once I get it out of the box. Carrie, so grateful to have you here and so glad that you finally know what's going on with your body. It's so amazing. Knowledge is power. Um, Bixby LBC, super glad you caught us too. Oh, super congrats, Bixby, on your success. Keep it up. It's amazing to kind of feel some control in life again, right? To be like, oh, I know how my body works. Imagine that. It's really great after all these years of doing what everyone told you and have it not work to suddenly be like, oh, that's it. Um, okay. Those of you who joined us a little bit late, just a few reminders of things coming up. Watch for posts in the next couple weeks about keto ice cream that I'm going to try to make with collagen powder and MCT oil. And a sale to coincide with my birthday next weekend on collagen powder and MCT oil that I'll use in the ice cream. And like I was just telling Rebecca, I got a rebounder this week. It's still in the box. I'm going to unbox it maybe tomorrow. So look for a review about rebounding in the next couple weeks. If you have a rebounder and you have tips for me or you have questions that you want me to try to answer when I do that, please do let me know. And again, I will post this when it goes live again, but just so you can be ready, there's going to be a buy one, get one 50% off on collagen and MCT oil next weekend with my promo code Sturdy Woman. And that is special for my birthday, which is on Saturday. Um, and I will be celebrating close to home by doing something fun that I haven't decided yet. Hopefully the weather will be nice and I can go outside. I am going to get my hair cut, so I'm going to go have a nice haircut and feel good, feel refreshed. Um, as we wind down here, I just want to invite everyone to kind of set an intention for the coming weeks. Hopefully, you're feeling a little bit of energy and energized and motivated by what we've chatted about today, and kind of having everyone share their experience and having other people understand like what you are going through. It is not just you. We all understand. So go ahead and in the chat, just share with us what is one thing that you are going to commit to doing for yourself this week. Um, Thank you, everyone who's telling me happy birthday in the chat. I will be thinking of all of you when I'm out celebrating, hopefully in the sunshine. Cheryl, you got this. Cheryl says she's going to eat clean this week and keep her carbs to 20 or fewer. Me too. I've committed, Cheryl. I've gotten bad at tracking. I'm going to get back on using my chronometer to track every day. And I think I said earlier, I'm back on my fasting protocol. So I'm doing alternate day fasting here for at least a couple weeks just because it makes me feel good. So I'm going to commit to that too, Cheryl. And Jagwagger J is going to research the RAD diet and commit to using the rebounder. Yes, you got this. I think it doesn't take a lot, just 10, 15 minutes a day, maybe. I'm going to put on some like real funky music when I do it. If you want some music, I do have a playlist called Love Your Lipedema Life on my YouTube channel, which is songs that I used to play that I still play when I'm feeling down, particularly about having lipedema, but about anything. So if you want some good body positive music, check that out. Patsy's going to use a personal checklist to track daily progress. Love that. Yes, I have definitely done that sometimes to try to remind myself, like, yeah, maybe I'm not seeing progress, but this is how I'm investing in myself every single day. And I can see it. I can see my consistency. I can see what I'm doing. I love that, Patsy. Betsy is committing to maintaining, yes, and viewing that as progress. Oh, I'm so glad you're loving your vibration plate. Consistency is a win. Yes, keep using it 2 times a day. And Betsy, the real question is like, do you feel good, right? Do you feel good? And that is the win. Arizona mom, good luck with your doctor's appointment. I hope they are supportive. I hope they are kind. I hope they are helpful. Bixby, LBC, yes, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. If you were here earlier for a discussion on electrolytes, consider putting some electrolytes in your hydration. Hydration is about more than water. And yes, stress. I have a video about what stress did to me, Bixby. If you haven't seen that yet, I think it's called Stress and Lipedema. You can find it on the channel. I always swell and gain weight when I have stress. Um, Carla's going to get a keto monitor. Yeah, I think it'll be really helpful, Carla. Great, great intention. That's an investment in yourself. Simone, I think that says you're going to get measured for compression. That is an awesome, awesome commitment to yourself. Yes, and Carrie, save up for that vibration plate and watch for them to go on sale. A lot of times you can get one 30%, 40% off. And I've heard, especially if you time it with a holiday. So I guess we don't have one in the US coming up super soon, but look for vibration plate sales around holidays. And I've also heard people finding them used on places like Facebook Marketplace or those other places where people sell used things. Rebecca, I'm not sure. I would think the rebounder and bouncer are the same thing, but the person who said bouncer earlier, if you want to clarify if I'm wrong and they're different things, um, go ahead. Yes, Arizona Mom, red light therapy has potential too. I have a couple videos about red light therapy and lipedema and lymphedema. You can check those out on the channel. Yeah, Carrie, definitely. You want to get a vibration plate that oscillates. You want to get a high quality one. And you mentioned Life Pro. I think you all know I love Life Pro because of the lifetime guarantee. If something ever goes wrong, you can get a new one. Yeah, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth saving, Carrie. Um, Rebecca, you're other Rebecca, you're too funny. Okay, and with that, unless there are any final questions that come in, I'm going to tell you all thank you so much for being here. Thank you for celebrating with me. Thank you for hanging out with each other and being so supportive and helpful. Um, and I hope you feel good in your body. I hope you have a good week. Remember what you committed to today, and continue to take care of yourself. Mwah! I'll see you next time.